poppin' football fans? Big Al here on this Tuesday, August 27th, 2024. And the first full week of the 2024 college football season is upon us. So with that said, let's jump right into the week 1 college football television schedule and the broadcast teams for every single game in this very, very long weekend. We got a pretty big slate of games on Thursday to kick off the week. We've got 6 games on Friday. You got your full Saturday slate. Then you got 3 games playing on Sunday, and we'll wrap the week up with a Labor Day game on Monday. Alright, so before we begin, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell to get notified every time we go live. And off we go with the week 1 college football television schedule, plus all the announcers for every single game. Starting off with Thursday, we got a bunch of games on. And it all starts at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific on BTN. Howard visiting Rutgers with Jason Horowitz and Matt Millen. Then you got 7 games at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. On the ACC network, you've got Western Carolina at number 24 NC State with West Durham and Tom Luganville. On ESPN Plus and ACC Network Extra at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific is North Carolina A&T at Wake Forest. Matt Schick and Charles Arbuckle. And then the next 5 games all stream on ESPN Plus. You've got New Hampshire at UCF with Robert Lee and Renee Eagle-Gilla. Central Connecticut State at Central Michigan with Dan Gukowski and Randy Buffington. Fordham at Bowling Green will be called by Joey Lindstrom and Ryan Kavanaugh. Lafayette at Buffalo is Anthony Lima and Jordan Reed. And then the 5th game is Jackson State at Louisiana Monroe. There is no broadcast team announced for that one. At 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific on ESPNU is Arkansas Pine Bluff at Arkansas with Jay Alter and Rocky Boyman. And streaming on ESPN Plus at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific is Duquesne at Toledo. Michael Reggie and Marcus Ray. At 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on Fox, it's North Carolina at Minnesota. Jason Benetti and Brock Huard. On ESPN, you've got North Dakota State at Colorado. And that's Mark Jones, Roddy Jones, no relation, and Quint Kessenich. On the SEC network, you've got Murray State at number 11, Missouri, with Matt Berry and Dan Mullen. On CBS Sports Network, you've got Coastal Carolina at Jacksonville State, with Jordan Kent and Logan Ryan. And then you have 4 games streaming on ESPN Plus at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. You've got Lindenwood at number 22 Kansas with Sean Kenny and Taylor McCarway. Then Southeastern Louisiana at Tulane with Doug Sherman and Teoka Jackson. Next is Alcorn State at UAB with Nate Gatter and Jay Sonhalter. And Northwestern State at Tulsa with James Wessling and Leger Duzable. At 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on BTN is Eastern Illinois at Illinois. Mark Followell and Jay Lehman. Streaming on ESPN Plus at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific is Southern Utah at number 12 Utah with Richard Cross, Barrett Brooks, and Shane Sparks. Final game of the night on Thursday is at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific on True TV. Sacramento State at San Jose State, with Ari Wolf and Darius Walker. Then you got 6 games on Friday, starting off at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific on CBS Sports Network, with Lehigh at Army, Dave Ryan and Adam Brenneman. At 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on ESPN is Temple at number 16 Oklahoma, Anish Sharath, Andre Ware, and Paul Carcaterra. Also at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on BTN is Florida Atlantic at Michigan State, Jason Ross Jr. and Brock Vereen. At 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific on the ACC Network is Elon at Duke, Clay Matvick is Steve Adzio, I should say. Steve Adzio. Sorry about that. Butchered his name. My apologies. At 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on FS1, you've got Western Michigan at Wisconsin, Tim Brando and Devin Gardner. And wrapping up the first Friday of the season at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific on ESPN, TCU at Stanford, Dave Fleming and Brock Osweiler. And that brings us to the first Saturday of the season. And we got 9 games starting at 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. On ABC, number 14 Clemson battles number 1 Georgia. This game is being played at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, so it's pretty much a de facto home game for the Georgia Bulldogs. This game will be called by Sean McDonough and Greg McElroy. On the season premiere of Fox's Big Noon Saturday, it's number 8 Penn State at West Virginia, with Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt. On ESPN, you've got Virginia Tech at Vanderbilt, with Roy Philpott and Sam Acho. On FS1, it's Connecticut at Maryland, Connor Onion and Mark Helfrich. On ESPNU, Kent State at Pittsburgh, Matt Schumacher and Dustin Fox. And then you have 2 games of regional interest on BTN. Some will see Illinois at number 25 Iowa with Mark Followell and Anthony Herron. Others will get Indiana State at Purdue with Pat Boylan and Jay Lehman. On the ACC network, it's Austin Peay at Louisville, George Sedano and Orlando Franklin. And on CBS Sports Network, it's Bucknell at Navy, with Carter Blackburn and Randy Cross. At 12:45 p.m. Eastern, 9:45 a.m. Pacific on the SEC Network, it's Chattanooga at number 15 Tennessee, with Taylor Zarzar and Matt Stinchcomb. The next 2 games will both stream on ESPN+. Plus, the first game is at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. South Dakota State at number 17 Oklahoma State, with Sean Kinney and Taylor McCartway. The other game is 30 minutes later at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific, streaming on ESPN+. And that's Towson at Cincinnati, Eric Rothman and Gerard Cherry. On the CW at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Pacific, is Portland State at Washington State, Ted Robinson and Ryan Leaf. And that will bring us to the late afternoon portion of the Saturday schedule. You've got 13 games kicking off at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific. On ABC, it's number 19 Miami at Florida. It's the Battle of the Sunshine State, with Joe Tessitore and Jesse Palmer. On the Home Depot Big Ten on CBS, Akron visits number 2 Ohio State with Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson. On Fox, it's Texas El Paso or UTEP at Nebraska. Jason Benetti and Brock Huard. On ESPN, it's Colorado State at number 4 Texas. Mike Monaco and Kurt Morrison. On FS1, you've got North Dakota at Iowa State. Eric Collins and Spencer Tillman. And then you have 2 more games of regional interest on BTN. Some viewers will get Miami of Ohio at Northwestern with Lisa Byington and Jared Thomas. Others will receive Florida International at Indiana with Joe Beninati and Matt Barkley. On the ACC network, it's Ohio University at Syracuse with Chris Cotter and Mark Herzlich. On CBS Sports Network, Merrimack is at Air Force. Chris Lewis and Robert Turbin. And then the remaining 4 games at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific will all stream on ESPN+. East Tennessee State at Appalachian State. And Eastern Michigan at Massachusetts. There are no broadcast teams announced for those 2 games. Kennesaw State, first year as an FBS school, at UTSA is also on ESPN+ at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific with Jack Benjamin and LaDarren McClain. And the last game at 3:30 on ESPN+ is Western Illinois at Northern Illinois. Kelsey Casper and Ryan Kavanaugh. At 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific on ESPNU, Boise State at Georgia Southern. Mike Corey and Renee Eagle-Gilla. A few minutes after that at 4:15 Eastern, 1:15 Pacific on the SEC Network, Old Dominion at South Carolina. Dave Neal and Aaron Murray. At 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific on ESPN+ and ACC Network Extra is UC Davis at California. Roxy Bernstein and Craig Halbert. Then you have 3 more games streaming at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific on ESPN+. North Texas at South Alabama, Stony Brook at Marshall, and Campbell at Liberty. No broadcast teams were announced for those 3 games. At 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific on ESPN+ and SEC Network Plus is Eastern Kentucky at Mississippi State. Kevin Fitzgerald and Charlie Strong. Also at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific on ESPN+ and ACC Network Extra is Richmond at Virginia. Chris Carlin and Forrest Connolly. Streaming exclusively on ESPN+ at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific is Norfolk State at East Carolina with Joe Torti and Reggie Walker. At 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific on the CW, you've got Idaho State at Oregon State. Tom Brenneman and Max Brown. Alright, moving on to the evening portion of the schedule. You're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. On ESPN, you've got Western Kentucky at number 5 Alabama with Dave Pasch and Dusty Dvorak. On FS1 is UNLV at Houston, Alex Faust and Robert Smith. On ESPN Plus and SEC Network Plus at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific is Furman at number 9 Ole Miss. Jay Alter and Rocky Boyman. The remaining games are on ESPN+. UT Martin at number 18 Kansas State is Mark Neely and Amon Green. Tarleton State at Baylor is Peter Souza and Brad Hopkins. Then you got Bethune-Cookman at South Florida, AJ Ricketts and Patrick Murray. Next is North Alabama at Memphis, James Westling and Legard Duzable. And then Sam Houston at Rice has Chucky Kemp on play-by-play and Doc Holliday on color commentary. The remaining 3 games on ESPN Plus at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific are Central Arkansas at Arkansas State, Nevada at Troy, and Tennessee Tech at Middle Tennessee, and there are no broadcast teams announced for those 3 games. And then you'll have 6 games at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. On ABC's Saturday Night Football, top 20 matchup pitting number 7 Notre Dame and number 20 Texas A&M down in College Station with Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit. On CBS, it's UCLA at Hawaii, Rich Waltz and Ross Tucker. On the season premiere of Big Ten Saturday night on NBC, you've got Fresno State and number 9 Michigan, the defending national champions, with Noah Eagle and Todd Blackledge. On ESPN Plus and SEC Network Plus at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Pacific is Alabama A&M at Auburn, Lowell Galindo and Fozzie Whitaker. On BTN, it's Idaho at number 3 Oregon, Guy Haberman and Yogi Roth. Streaming exclusively on ESPN Plus at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific is Abilene Christian at Texas Tech, Ted Emmerich and Dave Stecco. At 7:45 p.m. Eastern, 4:45 p.m. Pacific on the SEC Network, Southern Miss at Kentucky, Tom Hart, Jordan Rogers, and Cole Kubelic. Then you've got a host of games at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. On ESPNU, you've got James Madison at Charlotte, Justin Kutcher and Charles Arbuckle. On the ACC Network, Georgia State at Georgia Tech. Of course, the Yellow Jackets coming off of that big upset win over Florida State over in Ireland this past week. That game will be called by Wes Durham and Tom Luganville. On True TV, it's Texas A&M Commerce at San Diego State with Ari Wolf and Darius Walker. On ESPN Plus and ACC Network Extra is Houston Baptist at SMU, Doug Sherman and Tioka Jackson. Streaming exclusively on ESPN Plus is Southern Illinois at BYU with Richard Cross and Barrett Brooks. On KMYU TV in St. George, Utah, and Mountain West Conference Digital is Robert Morris at Utah State, and there is no broadcast team announced for that game. And the remaining 3 games on ESPN Plus have no broadcast teams announced either. And those games are Grambling State at Louisiana, Lamar at Texas State, and Nicholls State at Louisiana Tech. At 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on ESPN Plus, you've got Southeast Missouri State at New Mexico State, and there's no broadcast team announced for that game. And you got 3 games in the late night window. At 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific on ESPN is New Mexico at number 21 Arizona with Brian Custer and Rod Gilmore. On FS1 at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific is Wyoming at Arizona State with Chris Myers and Petros Papadakis. Final game of the night is at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific on BTN. Weber State at Washington. Jeff Levering, Jake Butt, and Lincoln Kennedy. On Sunday, you have 3 games. On ESPN at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Pacific is NC Central and Alabama State. They're playing this game in Miami with Tiffany Green and Jay Walker. At 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on ESPNU, you've got Tuskegee versus Johnson C. Smith, and they're playing this game in Montgomery. It will be called by Jason Ross Jr. and Marcus Ray. And at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific on ABC, is number 23 USC and number 12 LSU doing battle at the Death Star in Las Vegas with Reese Davis and Kirk Herbstreit. And the final game to wrap up Week 1 is on Labor Day, Monday, September 2nd at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific on ESPN. And it's an ACC battle with Boston College visiting number 10 Florida State. Bob Wischusen and Louis Riddick. And that is the Week 1 college football television schedule and the announcers for every game. We'll be back next week on our regularly scheduled day on Wednesday for the Week 2 college football television schedule. My NFL power rankings will drop later this week. I look to have that video up soon. And lots more football content coming down the pipe here in this 2024 season. So stick around for all of that. Like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell and get notified every time I go live. Big Al signing off. Thanks for watching and enjoy the pigskin. First full weekend of college football is here. Peace out.